Right, started. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Go ahead. The chat is live. All right. So, of course, our special guest, he'll be jumping in here shortly. Okay. And so, as soon as he jumps in, we're going to go from there. Toby Rosario, you guys have seen Toby on many of the interviews that we've done. And I said, you know what? A lot of people have had questions. So, if we get a ton of questions from the people that we interview, I will do my best to see if we can, work out an evening schedule. So let me know if you guys like this for tonight. So it looks like we got Toby in the building. So let me see if he comes in. If it looks all good, Toby, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you? Let me.
Doing, doing good, doing good. All right. So this is the first time that we're doing it like this, guys, where we're live and we're actually bringing on one of our special guests. I know you guys always see the content that we put out and things of that sort. So, of course, first off, I want to say thank you to Toby for taking out his time. He's not just a business credit funding, more so expert. But he's also a restaurant owner and things of that sort, family man as well. So he's taking out his time to educate the people. All right. And I know a lot of people got questions. Let's get right into it, Toby. So, real quick, tell everyone how did you get into, just learning so much about business credit, business funding, data points, and things of that sort? Because there's a lot of people that's on YouTube that talk about this stuff. But how did you find yourself getting into that industry?
Yeah, so I first got, well, thank you for having me on. That's the first thing.
Yes, sir.
I got into the industry because I kept hearing about it on the internet when people were saying, "Oh, I can get up to 250,000 in business credit. It doesn't report to the personal." So as soon as I heard that, I said, "I need more information. I need to find out what this thing is about."
Yeah.
And I became obsessed. I mean, I was listening to podcasts, YouTube. It wasn't too many YouTube videos when I started learning about
Yeah.
courses. I mean, I did it all just to get as much information as I can. And then what I did was I actually just started implementing what I was learning. So through my personal experience, I got a lot of data points. I figured out what was working, what wasn't working, and I started to ask a lot of questions. And that's how I got all this information that I have now.
Awesome. That's absolutely amazing. That's absolutely amazing because not only do you have that information, but you speak from a level of experience. And there's a lot of people that's on here, they'll watch a video from YouTube or something like that. And now all of a sudden they're an expert, right? And so, but you actually live and preach the stuff that you do. And man, it's so great. But let's get right into what the topic is for tonight because I can't stand watching the video on YouTube and they don't get to the point. So let's get right into it, man. You just did a video the other day and essentially talking about why essentially banks are done with no doc business loans. What are your thoughts on that? And why do you say you think that they're done?
Yeah, so the problem is people on YouTube, they're searching for information, right? So they see these videos, I can get 100K, no docs. The problem with that, though, is that they look at that as a hack, right?
Mm,
And when they try to get this funding, they're essentially stating income, right?
yeah.
But then they're burning these bridges. They're not paying back these loans.
Mm,
They're missing payments. They're going to a bank, they're getting the money and running off with the money and never paying them back. That's the wrong. They have the wrong mindset.
yeah.
So what's happening now is, and this is not. I'm not making this stuff up. This is stuff.
Yeah.
I speak to underwriters. I have relationship managers that I speak with,
Mm,
and they're telling me they're tightening up because exactly that. People are running away with the money.
yeah.
They're not paying back the lenders, and the lender is at the risk, right? They're giving you the money.
Mm,
They're lending you the money based on your resume, which is your credit profile.
yep.
Now, the thing is, I'm not saying they're completely done. What I am saying, more often than not, in the future,
Yeah.
specifically business lines of credit, the difference between a credit card and a business line of credit. Credit card is essentially credit. It's kind of made up, right? You swipe it. A business line of credit is cash in the bank. If you get approved for $50,000, they put $50,000 cash in the bank. So
Mm,
that's different. It's a higher risk. That's liquid cash that you can take out and withdraw from the bank. A credit card, you just swipe it. It's kind of like made up. So that's why they want to mitigate their risk, because if they're giving you 50,000 cash, you have to be able to prove that you can pay that debt back, because
right.
ultimately it's still debt. So now what they're doing is they're asking for bank statements. Years prior, they weren't really asking for bank statements with business lines of credit. It was
Mm,
just stated like basically like a credit card. You state your income. You say, hey, I make 400,000. My business is projected to do that. Whatever. Now they say, okay, you say you make that. I want you to show me the last 3 months of your business actually generating that type of revenue. Um, so that's why they're kind of trying to mitigate their risk. They're just trying to protect themselves and start asking for more proof that you actually say what you do. And the
Yeah.
problem is people need to get away from the hacks and the no docs. They need to start focusing on actually building a business, getting the credit and actually utilizing that to build the business, specifically business credit, utilizing that to build the business, to grow the business, to scale the business. Because if when they do and if they don't ask for that, you can say, hey, here's my bank statement. Here's my last 3 bank statements on my business. If you need more documentation, tax returns, I got it because I'm a legit business. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you hit it right on the head when you said I'm a legit business. And I think that especially 2020, there's a lot of fraud that happened. We're not even going to go into the whole PPP
Right.
situation, things of that sort, because Illinois is cracking down heavy on that. But saying that to say, I think that was the era, or at least one of the beginning stages where a lot of people just um, they at least heard about business credit, business funding, and they said, okay, we already got the LLC. Let me go ahead and see what I can do with it. But they don't have a legitimate business. They don't have a legitimate strategy. They don't have a legitimate plan if they were to get this business funding, And I keep telling people it's a matter of time before these banks, these financial institutions, not catch on. They see what's happening. They no. Let me tell you something. Banks don't mind lending the money. That's how they make money. The
Right.
problem is when you say you are a 750, you look like you are a 700, a 680, but then you act like, or you make the decisions that a 400 credit score person would make, a 500 credit score person would make, and now it's tainting the industry. And so now a 700 is it really a 700 anymore? And so these people are, and some of these people, don't get me wrong, there are things that happen, good things. I'm sorry, bad things happen to good people all the time. But when people do all the shadiness and stuff like that, it's a matter of time before they say, "Hey, listen, we got these products, but don't try to shade us. Don't make these profiles qualify for the stuff, and then all we do is talk about how we not going to pay these people." It's insane to me.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem. They because they go in it with the wrong mindset. They
Yeah.
go in it like, hey, I'm just gonna get the money and leave and never pay them back. I don't gotta worry about it. You burning bridges, and eventually it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna catch up. The banks actually watch YouTube. They know what's going on. They're gonna start raising the minimum credit score. It used to be 680 minimum. I'm hearing 720. That
Mm,
can change. So you got to start changing mindsets. You got to start thinking, I need to build a business.
yeah.
So when and if they ask for that, I can provide the documentation. Don't be afraid of documentation. That way you don't need to worry about hacks. You don't need to worry about no docs because you got it to back it up, you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And man, and like you said, you gotta bag it up. You most definitely gotta bag it up. Are there any other changes that you're trying to see that you're seeing from your perspective, kind of just watching certain banks and seeing certain behaviors? Is there anything else that you're seeing that we should be aware of as far as working with banks and business credit and business funding, things of that sort?
Yeah, so one of the things I am seeing, well, two things that kind of go hand in hand a little bit. Like I mentioned earlier, just a few moments ago, they're trying to raise that minimum credit score. A lot of banks used to be 680, 700. They're trying to raise it up
Yeah.
because that shows if you're at a 720 or above FICO, that shows you're at a higher tier. You're more responsible than someone that's at a 680. So they're
Yeah.
looking at that, and they're also looking at DTI to see how much debt you have on the personal side, whether it's credit cards, whether it's personal loans, whether it's auto loans, because ultimately, whether it's a credit card or business line of credit, you're still borrowing money, so that you have to pay that back. So they have to be able to see that you can manage all that debt. So they're starting to look at that more closely than they used to before. At least that's what I've been told. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's absolutely amazing, man. That's amazing. So now also too, for those who don't know, Toby actually has an ebook, and you guys can learn more about that ebook. We have the link inside the chat below. How to get $100,000 in business funding in 90 days or less. And again, this is not just hoopla. This is a strategy that he knows and that he's done himself and has consistently qualified for this. And you all can learn this information and shorten that learning curve that link is down in the description below. All right. So now also, and then also too, Toby, I want to ask you another question as well too. Um, as we are now looking forward to get into business funding and things of that sort, what are some of the things that people should have in place? Because again, we talk about docs, we talk about no docs, and all the rest of the stuff. But what are some things that people need to have in place so they can at least have a good credit profile?
Yeah, so as far as the credit profile, like I mentioned, the standard used to be 680. I would recommend 720 and above FICO. And then primary accounts, not authorized user, minimum five, preferred 10. Because put yourself in the bank's position, right? They want
Yeah,
to lend out to people who are able to manage that over a long period of time and over different products, right? So
yeah,
when you have 10 primary accounts that are your own accounts, auto loans, mortgages, car loans, student loans, and then
yeah.
you have credit cards, they can see that, oh, I see that he's managing his debt, he's not late, his utilization is low. They like to see that. And then also, as far as credit cards, minimum is 2,500, but I would raise that up to five. And then preferred is 10K or above, because banks have this thing called comparable credit, right? They look at your personal, they see, oh, this guy has a $10,000 credit card. Let's give him 30,000 or 25 on the business side. I can see that he can manage. Why would I give you 25,000 on the business side if you only can manage 2,500 on the personal? So
Mm,
high limits on the personal, because they have comparable credit, no derogatories, no late payments, no collections. Because again, they want to see that you're not going to run off with the money and never pay them back.
mm,
And then also LLC structure, make sure you're not in the high risk industry. Um, the bankers like to call it green industries. Green industries is a lendable, like they like to lend out to these type of businesses:
yeah.
consulting, marketing, e-commerce. um, what's the other one? Retail is good.
Mm,
Trucking, they don't like trucking, and they don't like real estate, because those are high risk, those are considered high risk.
wow.
As far as that, so you got your personal credit, you got your LLC structured properly, no
Okay.
high risk industry. Make sure you have a business address, business phone number, all the basic standard stuff.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So again, do not skip the basic standard stuff, guys. You have to have those things in place. Now let's talk about another hot topic. And I'm going to actually update the YouTube title here so you guys know that two things we're talking about tonight. So if you guys got questions about this, of course, be sure to put your questions inside the chat. But the next piece we want to talk about is the Navy Federal Credit Union Pledge Loan. This has been out for quite some time. A lot of people have been using the Navy Federal Pledge Loan as a resource to help them improve their credit scores. So, Toby, what are your thoughts on that? Have there been any changes so far with that, or is it still working the same in your opinion?
Yeah, it's still working the same. For people who don't know what the Navy Federal Pledge Loan and why it's considered a hack,
Yes.
so Navy Federal is actually, I don't know of any other federal credit or credit union. I think there's one more, but basically it's a secure loan. So let's just say I'm going to do my best to explain it. So let's say I have $1,000, right? I'm
Yeah.
trying to build up my credit. I basically give Navy Federal $1,000, so it's a secure loan, right? Then Navy Federal gives that money back. That's the difference between a secure loan with another credit union or another bank. They actually give you the money back. Most credit unions don't give you the money back until the terms to unsecured. So you give 1,000, they give it to you back a few days later as in a form of a loan. So in their eyes, you owe them $1,000, even though it's your money. Then you pay off 90% of it, right? And the reason you do that is because you want to show lenders, that you got a loan and you were able to pay it off right away, and you just leave like 10% or 5% and keep making payments on those. That way you have on time payments. You build up that age. But that is essentially the hack, right? It's a good way to build your credit if you're starting from zero. If you don't have any credit, because you get that installment loan on your credit, and you're manufacturing a trade line because it's essentially your own money. So you can go. I've seen people go $100,000 for that secure pledge loan, because then they'll be able to show the banks that they have $100,000 trade line that was paid off right away. So that's what people utilize that for.
Wow. So, okay, is there a is there a limit that on how much you can actually spend to get a Navy Federal Pledge Loan that you know of, or no?
That's a great question. I don't know what the limit is. I know someone who did $100,000 though.
Wow. Okay, but that in itself, I'm sure I'm not knocking my audience.
Yeah, yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So now the next thing is that's someone asked a question the other day, and it was a very good question. I want to save it for this interview. Someone asked a question the other day, and they said, "How many pledge loans can is like? Is there a limit? I guess to how many a person could open with Navy Federal?"
I don't know. I don't know if there's a limit. I know people who do like three pez loans at a time. I don't know. I don't think there is a limit because it's essentially just an installment loan that you're creating and you're securing with your own money. I mean, I'm sure there probably is a limit, but I don't know the limit off the top of my head. I haven't done the research for that. But I know people who do like three pledge loans at a time, because that way that creates another trade line. Basically, it's just an installment loan. That's viewed to the lender and on the credit report as an installment loan, similar to like a personal loan or auto loan. So I don't know the exact I don't know if there's a limit or not, but I know people who do like three pledge loans at a time.
Wow, wow. Any listen, man, three pledge loans at a time. Man,
Right.
but but that answers a lot of the questions. I keep telling you all, I'm only bringing you all people that have the right answers to these things. And that most definitely answers one of the questions that people have because people are trying to say, okay, I want to improve my credit score. I'm already with Navy Federal. How do I take advantage of that? And I got some videos dropping too. I know a lot of people have asked some questions about some stuff, so we'll most definitely get those questions answered. So, real quick, as a reminder, everyone that's watching this, first off, thank you all for being here. Of course, our guest, thank you so much, Toby, for being here. We're not wrapping up. I'm just letting everyone know. He has a book down at the bottom. Get how to get $100,000 in business funding in 90 days or less, and that book is attached right there inside the chat. If you guys want to get that information. So also too, if you all have questions, this is the time to ask the question. Okay, this is the time. We rarely have situations like this where we're able to ask someone questions, and there's no question that is I won't say that doesn't make sense. Try our best to make it make sense, guys. Be on our best behavior as we have a guest in the house. All right. But okay, cool. So now, what are some other things that you've seen either with maybe not necessarily Navy Federal, but what are some things that you're starting to see in the business credit world, the business funding world? Anything else that you think we should know or that you've seen recently?
Um, but let me get back to Navy Federal because this I don't know if you've heard about this. Navy Federal apparently, because I'm in a lot of communities where it's business credit, personal credit, and Navy Federal is always at the top of the list.
Always.
So Navy Federal apparently they're closing a lot of accounts
Mm,
because people. I don't know if you know some people they actually sell access codes to get into so that's like a black market thing. They're selling access codes to get into Navy Federal, but the problem with that is that access code, it's like if I give you the access code and you do some fraud on your account or you do something shady in your account, they'll
yeah.
shut your account down and then they'll shut my account down. So
Wow.
I'm hearing a lot of people getting accounts shut down because of stuff like that. They're either doing fraud or they're doing a lot of some sort of unusual activity with their accounts. They're shutting both of the people accounts down because that access code is provided by me and they're able to see who referred that access code. So that's so just something that I just found out about. Wanted to share that. I don't know if you heard about that.
No,
As far as go
yeah,
ahead.
I heard about it. I didn't know how true it was. Because I didn't know because that's people are always well as of recently, people have been doing things like this, and I knew it was just a matter, of time. So you were going to say something as well too, but that was as far as I've heard about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's crazy. That's what I mean. One person messes it up for everybody, and then the problem with sometimes we're putting stuff on YouTube
Yeah.
or things like that. One bad apple ruins it for everybody else, and then they catch on to the hacks. They catch on to this, and then it kind of ruins the play. But as far as the business stuff, I mean, that's essentially it. As
Yeah.
far as business credit, business lines of credit, they do want to see. They're starting to ask for more bank statements and things like that, more proof. Business credit cards, I mean, they're still Chase still giving out the bag. I just
Mm,
got one of my guys approved for 75,000, no docs.
Mm,
0% interest for 12 months. But that was done through a relationship manager. If you see those high limits on the internet,
yeah.
those are people that are using RMs, which is relationship managers, because they're actually the ones speaking directly with the underwriter.
Right.
Like they'll literally call the underwriter, "Hey, this application, can we get them a higher limit? Why was it denied? Can we reconsider this? This application?"
Wow.
So they're one of the best banks still to this day as far as getting large lines of credit. The other day, I just saw someone get, not from me, but I saw someone get 150,000, two credit cards, 0% interest, insane, no docs. So Chase in my eyes right now is still giving out the bag. So
Wow. Yeah, but you got to have your stuff together, obviously,
you
right?
gotta have you gotta have your great profile. You gotta make sure your score, I mean your credit is actually thick. Like it can't be thin, meaning like primary accounts, high limits on the personal and things like that.
Oh, right, right. Now, and just so we're clear, a brand new person is it's more difficult for them to, like, I won't say brand new, but if their credit profile is thin, like you mentioned, not having a lot of accounts with years of age and stuff like that. But you can't just be fresh out the bankruptcy thinking you got to go into.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay, right. You got to have your stuff together, guys, if you want to have that in place. So here, does anyone have any questions while Toby is in the building? We did. Oh man, listen, what's crazy? This live got up to over 100 people, so I know you all
Yeah,
have
yeah.
questions as well. Don't forget, we also have the ebook down below inside the chat. How to get $100,000 in business funding in 90 days or less, written by Toby Rosario himself. Okay, he's taking out his time to answer not just your questions, but to educate us on some of the updates in regards to business credit and business funding. So we greatly appreciate you talking about that. So what's new on your end, though, Toby? What's new for the YouTube channel? Because by the way, for those who don't know, Toby's not only here for tonight. He has his own YouTube channel, so make sure you guys go and stop by the channel. He's always talking about these things as well. But what's new for you coming up?
Well, I'm trying to catch up to you. You're putting out so much content. No, I've actually been recording a lot of videos. I have like 63 videos. I'm gonna get to 100 and just schedule them all out. I'm doing a lot of funding sequences, 100K.
Yeah,
I got this video. It's like a 500K funding sequence. Like I'm giving out all the sauce. I just been working behind the scenes trying to get this videos pumped out.
that's
Starting April 1st. April 1st, I'm gonna be doing 3-4 videos a week. I'm just gonna schedule them out. I have like 100. I'm trying to get to 100 recorded. Then I'll start dropping them.
wow, man.
Yeah,
It takes work, man. It most definitely
yeah.
takes.
It's a lot of work, man. You
Yeah,
know.
it does. I know a lot of people, they come on YouTube and they love watching the videos, things of that sort. Just so you guys know, it takes work to put this stuff together. Not saying that you guys don't appreciate it. I'm sure you guys do. And because we want to make sure not only are we bringing you all the right information, but we want to make sure that that we can bring this stuff to you guys consistently. So we do have a question here from Mike H66, and he does have a question. And shout out to Paul. We appreciate you being here, Paul. We saw those comments as well. He says his favorite is Key Bank. I want to get Toby's thoughts on Key Bank as well. Not now, but let's go and go into Mike real quick. So should I get rid of two credit cards with high interest rates? I have had them for almost a year. What are your thoughts on that, Toby?
So it really depends. Depends on the credit card. I mean, I have a Chase Sapphire Preferred. It's a great credit card. It's like 28%. But if you're paying off these cards in full, then you're not paying any interest, so it doesn't really matter. If it's a card that you can benefit with the points and things like that, like a Chase, American Express, then you should keep it. If it's high and it's not like a daily user or something that you can benefit from it, I mean, I still wouldn't get rid of it because it sounds like your profile is still kind of thin. But interest doesn't matter if you're paying it off in full. Hope
Mm.
that answers your question.
Yeah. I think a lot of people forget that. Interest doesn't matter if you're paying it off in full, right? So keep that in mind. We got to get out the habit. And not saying that this is Mike, but we got to get out the habit of carrying these balances, guys. We have to. If we can. Don't get me wrong. I know everyone's financial situation is a little bit different, but man, that $100 swipe is going to cost you $200.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't interest payments. They will. That's why you got to pay it off in full.
You
twenty
do.
percent. It's a lot.
Yeah.
You
That's
just
what's
got
up.
to pay it off in full.
So, and tell me, what's your thoughts on Key Bank? Have you ever worked with Key Bank, or have suggested or have helped one of your clients work with KeyBank?
I haven't personally, but I know a little bit about them. I know they're a regional bank. They pull Equifax, soft pull on Equifax. They have 0% interest business credit cards. They have a business line of credit, I think up to 25K. They have business credit cards, 20 up to 25K as well. But I haven't personally worked with them. But they're still a good bank. They're a good bank.
Wow. Wow. You gotta see how that just rolls out. He says, listen, he knows where they pull from. He
Yeah.
studies this stuff. You got just can't just be out of bank and then just run with it. Make sure that it makes sense and you meet that qualification, especially knowing what bureau they run from. So now they check from. Now, also, too, guys, be sure to put your questions inside the chat so we get those questions answered while we do have Toby's time. So now the next thing is, can you talk about PenFed? I recently opened a Fed account, and I don't do regular deposits. Is that good or bad? Next, should I be more consistent? Next, if I want to get a business credit card for my nonprofit, what are your thoughts on that, Toby?
You talk about Fed, obviously open better account. I mean, yeah, you should be doing regular deposits. I want to get a business credit card for I'm not too familiar with PenFed as far as their business credit products,
Okay.
so I can't comment too much on that. But the
Okay.
more you show the bank, this is across any bank, whatever the bank is or whatever credit union it is, the more you show the bank that you're looking for a long-term relationship, deposits, direct deposits, and things like that, the more likely you're going to get higher approval odds, more likely you're going to get more products with them. So, like, you can get higher limits if you're showing them. Navy Federal is a perfect example. You build that internal score, you get higher limits on those credit cards and get better chance of approvals.
Wow. There you go. And so, like he said, guys, this is across all banks. So, again, there may be a bank that you all like for whatever reason, convenience, or you may already be with them. So, follow these same strategies for any of these banks that work for you. All right. Paul is back. Paul says a block is 50K and credit card is 25K. I think that's what he's talking about. So, the business line of credit. And then he says, what are your thoughts on PNC?
Yeah, so PNC, I just had a conversation. Funny you mention that. I just had a conversation because I'm trying to understand their data points for PNC with a relationship manager. So PNC, they have. I didn't even know this. They have this. It's their version of the platinum card. I forget what it's called. It's the PNC Cash Options Card.
Mm,
It goes up to 250,000. But
mm,
but that's
wow.
only if you pay in full. That's only if you pay in full. They have business lines of credit up to 100,000, no financials, but that doesn't mean they won't ask you. So what can trigger? So here's the better question.
Yeah.
You need to ask yourself what can trigger the bank rep to ask you for documentation. It could be something in your profile, right?
Yeah.
It could be something in your profile. Oh, he has too much debt on that profile. Let me ask for documentation. That could
Yeah.
be one of it. He maybe has some lace from a couple years ago. So things like that. Or if you're saying if you open your business 3 months ago, well, you can't because you need to be in 2 years. But I'm just trying to create a scenario. Like if you over exaggerate your income,
Mm,
if you say you make $2 million, they'll be like, let me see your profit and loss statement. Let me see your tax returns. It's like you don't want to overestimate because
yeah.
that's things like that uh, trigger documentation.
Mm,
So and then the other credit card they have, it goes up to 50,000. They have some 0% interest business credit cards. They soft pull. What did he say? They soft pull Equifax. They soft
mm,
pull Equifax for the business line of credit, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but they do have some good products. He did tell me, like I said, that they go up to 100,000, no financials. But again, I'm gonna preface that by saying some
yeah.
people's some people's profile could trigger financial and the benefit. This is one of the very few banks that he told me because I know Chase doesn't do it. When you apply for a business line of credit, let's just say you say I want 100,000
Yeah.
and they don't want to approve you for that, they actually counter. They can
Mm,
say, we can't give you the 100, we can give you 60. Most banks don't do that. It's either you approved or not. Like they don't like to negotiate. Basically,
yeah.
PNC is actually um, able to counter that offer. So if you ask for 100, you don't get approved for that. They say we can give you 60. They're definitely 100% relationship based.
Wow.
The more you show them you're in it for the longer. You can
Yeah.
even tell them, hey, I'm leaving Chase. I want to come to you guys. You show them something with a deposit. that's going to really increase your odds. That's directly from an underwriter, a relationship manager. I'm sorry, relationship manager.
Yeah.
They're definitely relationship based, and they do check your business credit score. Most banks don't actually. So that's another thing you need to keep in mind. They do check your business Equifax. So keep that in mind. All
Yeah.
right.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of a lot right there. Yeah.
No, man, listen, is this stuff good? I listen. I know that you guys are here. You guys are watching this. Is this good information or not? Leave an emoji inside the chat if this information is good. All right. So I think it's great information to have. Listen, videos like this. I want you all to understand something. Videos like this will shorten your learning curve. Okay, so take advantage of not just the knowledge that's here. And if you all think, listen, if you all think this is good, imagine what's in his ebook. That's inside of the chat link as well. All right, so let's go ahead. We got the questions rolling in. See, look, because we're gonna be wrapping up soon. Y'all better hurry me get these questions in. We're going to be wrapping up soon. All right. So now, one of the questions that we saw here, and this is from well, I don't want to mess that name up, but Pulito. All right. So would I be able to qualify for funding with Chase and American Express if I guess if I have if they have three late payments, but my credit score is 762? What are your thoughts on that? I know it's not guaranteed. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, so the first thing, they don't like to see late payments.
Mhm.
But if it's older than 2 years, I guess it depends. I mean, it sounds like it is because you got a 762, that late payment is probably a couple years old. Um, so what I would do is, if you're not in the Amex ecosystem, what you can do is apply for. They have a pre-qualification tool with Amex. You can actually do a pre-qualification. They'll tell you if you're approved or not. If you're pre-approved, you're 99.9% gonna get approved. So I would do that. It's a soft pull. It will be a hard pull if you move forward. So do that. So that'll tell you if you're approved or not. With Chase, before you apply, I would open up a business. If you're talking personal, I would open up a personal checking account. If you're talking business, I would do that. Open up a checking account. Sometimes while you're opening up the checking account, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, you have a pre-approved offer if you wanted to apply." So sometimes they'll do like a soft pull on your credit, and then they can get you approved right then. Well, get you pre-approved as you're opening up the checking account. So to answer your question, that's what I would do first. I would see if you're pre-approved with Amex, and
Mm.
then if it says you're pre-approved, you're approved. So go through with that, and then Chase, open up a checking account, and then ask them if you have any pre-approved offers for you. So I would do that.
Wow. Take advantage of those pre-approved offers, guys. People
Yeah.
sleep on that, Toby. They do.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of banks that you all are with currently. That
Right. Exactly.
yeah, they have. Listen, these banks, they want you to get approved. That's how they make money.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
So they're going to make it as easy as possible. That's why they do these soft pulls to make sure to see who qualifies and who doesn't qualify. All right. And again, guys, keep the chat going, keep the emojis going. Let us know if this is good information. All right. So now we're gonna go to the next question here. We're gonna be wrapping up soon, guys. So go ahead and get those questions in. Next would be: are credit unions affected by the current financial crisis going on in the U.S.? Granted, credit unions and banks are totally different. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, any bank can be affected by what's going on with the U.S. economy.
Yeah,
But local banks are, I would say, not as affected,
yeah,
because they don't have such a big bankroll like a Chase or a Wells Fargo or Bank of America. But as a general rule, yeah, anything that's affecting the U.S. economy it can trickle down to even the small banks. But I just view it differently because they don't have such high risk tolerance like a Chase. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So again, guys, no, everyone's going to be affected in some way, shape, or form, but every bank's situation may be a little bit different. So keep that in mind as well. So we had another question as well too. What are your thoughts on Credit One credit card? Um, how? Wait, hold up. First, I don't think you need a relationship manager credit one. So here, let's confirm. Jump inside the chat. Who mentioned that tablet access? No shade, by the way. No shade. And I hate when people say like it's about to be some shady stuff going on. But no, like here's the thing: with Credit One, you do not need a relationship manager, guy. You do not. Okay, because I mean, Credit One, I think if you got a 550 credit score, Credit One will most definitely give you an opportunity to work with them. So let us know if that's Credit One for real. If not, we'll circle. All
I
right.
think it was a part of a two-part question. I think they're
Oh,
asking, what are your thoughts on Credit One as the
okay.
credit card? Well,
Got
I'm gonna answer that. That shit is terrible. So excuse my language. I have Credit One. I did not know what I know now.
Yeah.
Credit One charges like an annual fee, super low limits. They're actually predatory. I hate Capital Credit One. I only got them. I'm only keeping them because they're literally like 9 years. They're my oldest cards, so I don't want to lose all that age. But they are terrible,
Yeah.
terrible. I really don't like that. So if avoid Credit One, that's a lower tier credit. Is terrible. So
Yeah.
yeah. What are your thoughts on that? I know you're more on the personal side.
Nah, yeah, you know what? I've done multiple videos. I used to do so many different types of videos back in the day on a lot of like I won't say entry level credit type stuff, but those are the videos that people learn so much from because those are the offers that a lot like no most of the people don't just we don't there's a lot of business funding and stuff like that, but they don't understand these banks because
Right.
a lot of those banks are really just underwriting some other stuff, so you don't know the names. But but familiar names that people know for sure: Mission Lane, First Premier, First Progress, Credit One, Capital One. So, but to circle back to it, there's a lot of things I don't like about Credit One. Number one, they charge you to add authorized users. Now, I do know that there are some premier credit cards out there that will do the same thing, like American Express. They'll charge you too. However, this ain't American Express. Let's call that what that is. It's a money grab. They charge you, I think, like 40 to $50 per person that you add on to that credit card. That's number one. Number two, this is what makes them super petty. This is the pettiest thing I've ever seen. They have a non-usage fee. All right. So, and that means if you do not swipe their credit card within a 30-day time frame, you will be charged a non-usage fee. Now you're probably thinking, well, Calvin, that's only a couple dollars. No, it's like I forgot what it's been a minute since I've seen it, but it's around about $7 to $10. So
Wow.
this listen, there are some streaming services, okay? So that you could be paying. Well, I'm not just gonna give my money to Credit One, right? So I'm saying this to say some of you all need to close some of these credit cards. Now, don't get me wrong, just because you have a credit card, you've had it open for years, I know you don't want to lose that history. But if this credit card is costing you money, you may need to swap that credit card out for something else, especially if you had it for a short period of time. Okay, so just what I would look at. So either way, let's go ahead and jump into a few things. The first thing, I want to make sure I get caught up with the questions here. All
Well,
right.
let me answer the second part of that question. It says, how do you get in touch with an RM? So you just go into the bank. You go into the bank. You open a business checking account. Make sure you're speaking with a relationship banker, and then start to build that relationship with them.
Perfect. Perfect. Hope you guys got that. Hope you guys are listening to this. Hope you guys are listening to this. All right. So now, next is, all right. Thank you so much. Just joining, but one in. Okay. So now Shay just jumped in. She said, what are the best banks in your opinion to try to get over $100,000 in business funding, or should you try to get 100,000 from one bank and probably split it up within multiple banks? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, I have tons of videos on that, but I'll give you a sequence right now. I talked about it earlier. If you weren't here, I just got someone approved for 75,000. Chase
Mm,
goes up to 150,000. Let me
mm,
say that again. 150,000. You could get that on one card. Now, will you get that on one card? Probably not, right? If you get a relationship manager, you'll get, generally speaking, I don't want to, it's not a guarantee, but generally speaking, minimum 50K. So
yeah.
you got half of it right away. Then I will go Amex. I will go Amex. You'll probably get 20 to 25 with them.
Mm,
Then you can do something like Navy Federal. Navy Federal, if you can get in Navy Federal, their business credit cards, 15K minimum. Usually, I've seen usually minimum 15K, up to 25K. So that's, you got Navy Federal, you got Amex, you got Chase. You go Bank of America. I got Bank of America. You go with they pull TransUnion. I mean, with 3 4 banks, you get 100K easy. Like I just told you with Chase, they're giving out high limits. You could go with Chase 1 month. or you apply 2 cards within 31 days, you get like 50 to 70K right there. If your credit is good, that's assuming, I'm assuming you have great credit. So let me preface by saying that. And then you go to Amex, Navy Federal, Bank of America. You're good right there. That's an easy 100K right there.
Ooh, man, that's good stuff. You know, Shay just said she added a piece. Well, not added a piece. I think the question that was a little bit different, but that's still good information to know, guys. That is some really good information to know because some of you all already. Here's the thing. Here's what I want you all to understand. Some of you all are literally inches away, or some of you all already meet the qualifications. Some of you all are already with these banks. Some of you all are already with Chase Bank. You already have a business checking account. You already have access to these things, and but you don't know what steps to take. This is just a snippet, just a piece of what Toby has been telling you all. And not only, of course, does he have a YouTube channel, but if you all want to shorten that learning curve, again, go ahead and grab his ebook. We got the link in the chat below. All right, so we're gonna swing back over to you know what here. Just because I know Shay just wanted to correct us, not in a bad way, but so we can get that going. She says, "What's the best bank when you have over $100,000?" So I'm assuming she's talking about $100,000 worth of income, not $100,000 saved. So, what are your thoughts on that? So, should you consider changing certain banks if your income changes?
I mean, I mean, I like Chase. And the reason here's why I like Chase. Out of every other bank except Amex, Chase, you get the best of both worlds. You get
Mm,
high limits and you get great rewards. Think
mm,
about that. High limits, great rewards. A lot of banks like Bank of America, the rewards are trash. Navy Federal business credit cards are trash. Amex and Chase are the best hands down. So you get really high limits and you can reallocate limits. So even if you have a low limit and you got a high limit on one, you can move it to the other one, get a high limit one card. You just get the best of both worlds. So
okay.
I like Chase and American Express. I always recommend those banks.
Wow. Wow. That's what's up, man. And then also too, if you're talking about having money saved, if she's talking about that, then I would most definitely suggest they have these high yield savings accounts. That's probably the safest way to kind of do it. Throw you in there. But if you want to start preparing for retirement, and that's nothing too. Are I want to know if since the audience is here, are you all open? Some of you guys have been watching this channel since we started back in 2015. Guys, we're getting older now. So if I was SpongeBob or if I was Barney, y'all ain't we all get older. So my point is that we need to start talking about retirement. We need to start talking about retirement planning. Don't get me wrong. We're most definitely gonna have these types of videos, but I'm saying this to say we're getting older. So I'm saying if you are open to maxing out like a Roth IRA, it doesn't take much to max one out. I think it's like 6 grand or something like that to max one out or something like that. So, but saying that to say there are some retirement options you most definitely should consider, especially if you got $100,000, put up for sure. So let's go into some other questions as well. So here, guys, get those questions in. We're going to be wrapping up here shortly. And of course, if you all appreciate Toby for his time, go ahead and put thank you or TY inside the comments below. But one of the best ways you all can thank him is by stopping by his YouTube channel and subscribing to his channel. And so you can continue to get this great information that he's giving out today. All right, so now let's go into some other things as well too. Okay, so I was asking in regards to relationship manager because I have a nonprofit organization geared towards U.S. military veterans and disabled adults. Okay, I think we kind of touched on that one as well. Okay, so the next is Credit One gave me my first Amex. Yeah, yeah. I remember when they merged with them, when they came out with that card. Helped me with my credit, closing accounts. Yeah. So here, we're not knocking Credit One in a sense, but we're just saying here, this is what I want everyone to understand. Credit One Bank or your first house or your first car or your first job, it's there to introduce you to what you're there to get at that time, right?
Right.
So, saying that to say, you have to upgrade. Now, don't get me wrong, but they're like you said, they charge for everything. Someone mentioned in the comments how they charge for credit limit increase. They charge for credit limit increases. They charge for a lot of different stuff. So again, that card could potentially cost you more just to keep that type of card. So keep those types of things in mind. Next is y'all together are a dynamic duo. Yeah, I know y'all been watching a lot of the videos we've had together. Listen, Toby knows his stuff. I'm just asking questions, you know. So Toby knows his stuff. All right. Next is okay. Hey, what is my comments? I don't know what that is. Okay, you know, listen. Some of y'all be acting a fool in some of these comments. I see. Man, I'm not watching this stuff. All right. So now, I got a 640 score, but I have bad debts. How do I start rebuilding? That's a very good question. We want to kind of keep everything business topic tonight. But to answer that question very quickly, if you got a 640 credit score, start looking at what type of stuff is coming in the mail. So if you got some credit card offers, things of that sort. But at the same time, if you have bad debts, I would start throwing a lot of my money towards those debts. You know, a lot of times, you know, that's what's killing the score. If you're already, think about it, if you have 640 and you already have some debts, imagine what your score would be if you didn't have a lot of those debts, especially if they're not credit card revolving debts. But if it's a matter of just debts that's not credit cards, I would go ahead and consider probably getting a consolidation loan, put it into one loan. That way you paid off everything, would consider doing it. All right. Next would be okay, great to know. Let's see here. I have an account with Chase. Do you suggest the American Express business savings account? What are your thoughts on that, Toby?
I don't know too much about that. I wouldn't. They're not really. They don't from the business. I know they have a business checking account, the
Yeah.
savings account. I don't know too much about it, so I wouldn't. I can't comment on that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, we not one of those types of people that act like we got all these answers. Okay. But there are certain things that he knows for sure. So we only gonna talk to you guys about what we have the answers on. All right. So next is if you open up new credit cards and your average age of credit goes down. Yes, that's correct. So if I close some newly opened credit cards, will my credit age average return back up since I now have less cards? So technically, no, because even though the account is closed, that history is still on there. But good history or bad history is gonna, as it gets closer to 7 years in general, it has a lower weight value. But since that account is closed, it still plays a role in the average age history. But like you mentioned, you can always there's other accounts you're going to be getting, you know, at the end of the day. But again, if you have a credit card that you're not using, but it's not costing you money like an annual fee or just random fees or non-usage fees, just keep the credit card, put a bill on there, put it on auto pay, and you're good to go. Okay, that's what I would say. My thoughts are on that. All right. Next is thank you. It must be God. Literally popped up on my YouTube. All right. So next is Brian says, I just started my LLC and I just opened my bank account at Chase. Is there any advice you can give?
Yeah. So the first thing is, again, I talked about it earlier. Continue to build that relationship, and what does that look like? Make deposits. So if you just open it, start making some deposits, and let it sit there for a while. Now, this is a little bit more advanced, and probably for people who can have that. But if you have like 5K in the bank and you let it season for a while, that really helps approval odds. So
Mm.
if you get a higher bank rating, like with bigger deposits, they can see that and then say, oh, you got 5K in the bank account, let's give them X amount. So that does help. But that's a little bit more advanced strategy. But to answer your question, just start making some deposits. They start to see that, and they'll start to build that relationship.
Let's talk about those advanced strategies, Toby. So I know we not expect you to drop all the sauce tonight. We not. But so far, listen, all the information you give has given tonight has most definitely been helpful. If you all think it's been helpful, let's go and drop some emojis inside the chat for Toby. All right. So, but real quick, so as far as like the advanced type of strategies, things of that sort, how could someone learn those types of things essentially from you? You know, should they get the ebook only, or should they wait for you to come out with your series on April 1st? What should they do if they want to learn more of the strategies?
Yeah, I talk a lot about that in my ebook. Some strategic funding sequences, which
Oh,
banks to go to, which because I know which bureau they pull from, how to
mm,
go about it, and things like that. But to give some people some sauce, this is advanced, and this is for people who have 2-year old LLCs. So a lot of people actually don't know that this is a gem because I just found out about this probably like 6 months ago.
mm,
This is a gem that most people don't know. Most people don't know that when you get a business line of credit, again, that's cash in the bank. The bank, or yeah, most banks actually, they do a UCC filing.
mm.
Probably what people are asking, I don't know the actual acronym what it
Yeah,
defines, but
yeah.
basically it's a lien. It's a lien in first position. So Chase, since we talk a lot about Chase, they have a business line of credit up to 250,000,
Mm,
100K, no financials. But with Chase, this is one of the only banks that I know of that actually put a UCC filing no matter what the amount. Here is the gem. If you want to be strategic and get 200, 300, 500,000 in strictly business lines of credit, not business credit cards,
Yeah.
you can ask the banks what is the threshold that they do and lend out that they don't put a UCC filing. So in other words, let's say PNC Bank, right? They go up to 100,000. I have to ask the RM for this, but I want to ask him, what is the threshold? Do you guys go up to 50,000 and you guys don't put a UCC filing? Because what that does is you won't be able to get another business line of credit.
Yeah.
No, so like if I get, let's say for example, I get to Chase BLOC, right? And then
Yeah.
I try to go to another bank. They can actually see that there's a UCC filing on that business line of credit. So they'll say you have to close that out in order to get ours. Because that UCC filing is basically like a lien on the business. So
Wow.
that's a lot of people. I've never heard anybody talk about that on YouTube. So you heard it here first. Now when you see all these YouTube videos, you know where they got it from. No
That's
one ever talks about that.
That's right. We got to start talking about this stuff, man. So again, this is why we bring Toby here because he studies this stuff. He knows the industry. All right, he knows the industry. All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping up here because, of course, we most definitely appreciate Toby's time. So we're going to be wrapping up here. All right, guys. So now there is, let's see here, some Roths IRA. Yep, you're absolutely right. Everyone's saying thank you for the information. All right. So now, let's see here. Can an old charge off be removed trying to prepare my credit profile for funding? Let's talk about that. So now, if a person has a credit profile and they feel like it's not the best, they got some charge offs that's obviously on there, they don't want to wait the 7 years. Should they try their best to try to get it removed, or are there some banks that will give them an opportunity with the charge off on their credit report?
I would 100% try to get it removed. I only recommend people to go for funding if they got no late payments. I mean, obviously, if it's 2 years or older, a charge off is just a negative account on your report, so they can see that it can be old. It might not hold as much weight, but I still would recommend for you to get that off.
Yeah. Okay. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this. Have you had any clients that have had charge offs on the credit report, but then they had a zero balance, like they paid it off? Have you seen that before much?
I have not me personally, no.
Got you. Okay, got you. Okay. All right. So you guys heard that. You heard it. All right. So next, Yasha says, I closed Chase and I'm never going back. Even though you want to keep your she says, even though you said, listen, better keep the credit cards open. But that's another thing too, because a lot of these banks, let's talk about this. A lot of these, it's so difficult because you have like the pros and the cons. You have like Toby, he stands behind Chase, right? And then, but you guys know I did a video recently about how on the consumer side, a lady had an issue, with Chase and getting her student loan check and things of that sort. So it really just depends. Everyone's not perfect. Every bank is not going to be perfect. There's risk. Anytime you put your money somewhere, it's going to be risk, right? So but at the end of the day, as long as you're having a good experience with them, that's what's going to matter the most. I'm not saying that Tasha's wrong or anything like that, but I just know some of you have had bad experiences, with banks in general. So that most definitely plays a role. Now, let's see here real quick. So
Yeah,
there's
just so I can add to that. Like people hate Bank of America. I
yeah.
got no problem with Bank of America. I got 40K personal credit card. I got like
Mm,
60K on the business. So me personally, I didn't have that experience, but I know that they got some bad rap when they do some crazy stuff and some bad stuff to customers. So like you
yeah.
said, it's all personal experience. If you got a good personal experience with them, you should keep banking with them.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So now, there's someone that asks, "What if I buy?" And now, because I don't know if this is in the gray area. This sounds a little gray. So
Mhm.
this says, "What if I buy an old LLC from a shelf corporation from India?" See, I'm already thinking some flags. What benefits would I get, and should I do it? Have you ever dealt with anything like that?
From India? That sounds like a scam to me. I'll be honest. No, and no shade. I mean, I know people who utilize shelf corps.
Yeah.
But that's yeah, like you said, it's a little bit of a gray area because from I don't know too much about that. I kind of stay away from that because
Mm,
when you buy a shelf corp, at least this is my understanding. I'm not like the expert. I'm not going to claim to be one. I know when you buy a shelf corp, like let's just say 7 years old. Sometimes the bank likes to see when that business bank account was open. So if you just bought a 7 year old shelf corp and there's no business banking activity, then you paid all that money for really nothing. And then sometimes there's liens and all these debts on that LLC. So you just got to be careful. I personally stay away from it. Again, I'm not the expert. I know people who do have some success with that. I personally wouldn't do it though.
Mm,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. All right. So here, you guys are hearing it directly from the expert. Directly from the expert. All right. So great on that as well. All right, and then also now NH NAHFR production says no late payments, none. Can't have them. You most definitely. And then Zoe says, thank you for the awesome session. How can we connect with Toby? All right, so we're gonna be wrapping up, guys. So real quick, how you can connect with Toby. So one of the easiest ways, and I'll let him also talk about that too. Make sure you guys go and check out his YouTube channel. He talks about this stuff all the time. He has a new video series coming out on April 1st. And then also, if you guys want a recap of all of this, now I'm gonna chop this up a bit and I'm gonna actually put this, try to clip it up a bit for make it a little bit easier for you all, because some of you all came here to learn about his thoughts on Navy federal pledge loan. Okay, we talked about that already. Some of you all want to get his thoughts on why banks are, kind of stepping away from, no doc business loans. They're still out there, but they're tightening up on some of the, on the strictness requirements of it. So, but either way, we're gonna try to clip this up so you guys can just get those pieces. But saying that to say, if you want to accelerate this, you most definitely want to go ahead and grab his ebook. The link is inside of the comments below. All right. So, and then of course, Wilbur says, "What's the quickest way to get your credit score up? If you got credit cards, start there. If you don't have credit cards, go ahead and get one. If you got denied from credit cards, go with a secure credit card. If you still get denied from a secure credit card, go to Open Sky. They approve everybody and their mama, unless you owe Open Sky. And if you owe Open Sky, because I've seen people do this too, all you got to do is just pay the balance and they'll give you your money back. Some of you all are some of you all are charging off secure credit card accounts. Y'all are crazy out here. Your money is locked into that account. So some of you all walked away. You walked away from $150, or you didn't pay $150, and they have your $200, your $500. Again, they don't keep your security deposit. Some of y'all forget this stuff. These are not. They don't keep that stuff. That's a whole nother video. All right, next. I tried to get a personal loan from Navy Federal, and I didn't get the loan. All I needed was $4,000. Well, so Black America, we got to talk about that. You got to start improving that credit score, or sometimes it's the profile itself too. Sometimes we have the score, but we don't have the profile. Sometimes we have the profile, but we don't have the score. So sometimes it can look like that. One recent bad thing can drop your score, and if they're looking for something, you may not meet that qualification, unfortunately. Okay. Okay. Next would be I have an old charge off of my credit report. Okay, hold on 1 second here. Let me. Oh, okay, there we go. I have an old charge up on my credit report, and it's been completely paid off many years, but it's still there. I've done everything how to get it off. What else can I do? So there's a lot of videos on YouTube on how you can do these things. You guys, if you guys haven't noticed, I don't talk about certain things because I don't want. That's just me. I'll just leave it there. But there are videos that are on YouTube. I'm not knocking any strategy or any of that. You guys can do whatever you want to do. But I'm saying that to say there's some videos out there. At the end of the day, you're going to be disputed, right? But there's obviously different ways to kind of do that and different strategies you can do that, So just keep that in mind, as well. Is it good to link bank accounts? Any thoughts on that, Toby? Link bank accounts? Any changes, recommendations on that?
Yeah, so there are some banks that like Amex business. I talk a lot about business credit cards. This is more advanced, but business lines of credit, you do have
Yeah.
to connect your bank account. I mean, you can connect the bank account if you have deposits or if you have money in the account, because if you're looking for like a BLOC, they're gonna connect to your bank account sometimes, like an Amex one, to see your deposits, to see your transactions, to see if there's a lot of funds in there, and then they can make the decision based off that.
Wow. Wow, they can make that's crazy. They can make the decision based on that just by seeing that. So it's a good thing to have those accounts linked, guys. All right, so we appreciate everyone for being here. Greatly appreciate Toby for being here. Toby, is there anything you want to leave, with the people? We know you got some stuff coming up. Can you tell everyone again how they can reach out to you and then what you got coming up April 1st?
Yeah, so they can reach out to me on YouTube. I post a lot of videos. I literally give the game away. I literally step by step give the game away that people charge thousands of dollars for. I give it away for free. That's the first thing. So you can reach on YouTube or Instagram. Toby Rosario. And then April 1st, I'm gonna do like series of funny sequences, giving all the game away, credit cards, banks, where they pull from, how to strategically apply for these, and then B lock strategies as well. So
Wow.
look out for that.
Wow. See? Stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. And last but not least, if we can squeeze one last one in. Oh, well, what would you do if you need capital for your business? Get his ebook. Okay. Get his
Exactly. Link in the description.
or rewatch this. If you there's some gems inside of this, there's some other videos we've done, as well. But you got to make sure you have the profile. But we talked about having that profile. He talked about what you need for that. Just go ahead and start at the beginning of the video, and you'll most definitely catch those gems. And again, stay tuned for his information that's coming up as well too. So if you all like this, and you all want more interviews in the evening time, we've been switching some stuff up. And I knew Toby was gonna be down because he doesn't sleep. So I was like, man, you want to do something in the evening? So he was available and ready. So thanks again, Toby. We greatly appreciate you being on today, man. Thanks again.
Appreciate you. All right.
All right, guys. See you guys soon. Have a good one.